clearing the misconceptions and confusions about Kundalini. So I'm hearing across the internet so many confused ideas and descriptions and explanations that if you listen to these explanations, you become more confused, if anything else. So I've been dealing with this energy from, for decades. I had my first samadhi experience 38 years ago, right? Multiple samadhi experiences. And on a daily basis, I work with my Kundalini energy, developing it and sometimes directing it, to do the healing for me and increasing it. I'm busy working on developing my, energy body. So the energy body takes time to evolve. It could take decades, right? And it could take lifetimes to completely develop it incrementally, safely, in a controlled manner. So what people hear is something that is uncontrolled, when it is also termed in the spirituality field as an inner conjunction, that it comes suddenly, and many people have adverse effects with this Kundalini awakening because the body is not ready for it. And so it doesn't go up the central channel. It'll go either on the right or the left, because there's three channels. There's one channel that goes directly through the central spinal column called the Sushumna Nadi. On the left side is the Ida Nadi, left side of the spinal column, and on the right side of the spinal column is the Pingala Nadi. So the Ida Nadi controls all the psychological processes and the subtle processes, and the Pingala Nadi, the masculine on the right hand side, controls all the physiological processes. So if these are blocked, and your central column is also blocked because you haven't done any kriya to open the channel and practicing up and down, so that when the Kundalini wants to rise in full force, it's easily going to just go up to the correct channel. So it can feel that central channel is blocked. It'll go either to the right or the left. If it goes to the right, the person will have immense psychological, problems and conditions and traumas, right? Heavy depression and needing a psychiatrist and so forth. If it goes to the right side, the masculine side, the Pingala Nadi, it will feel extreme heat of all physiological problems, right? Is maybe organ failure or health problems and so forth, becomes accentuated, right? Or becomes highlighted, because the right side controls all the physiological things. So it's just going through the wrong side. Either if it goes through the central channel, you will not experience any adverse effect. You will experience bliss overload, and that is a good problem to have, right? As opposed to needing a psychiatrist or going into going into heavy pain in your body and burning up. You feel like you're overheating, right? And you get nauseous, you can't eat food, and you very likely will get hospitalized. Like the description of the adverse Kundalini awakening with Gopi Krishna in his book, on his Kundalini awakening. It's available for free on YouTube. You can listen to his audiobook, right? Of how the adverse Kundalini, and I believe that his physiological symptoms, it means it went through the right side, through the Pingala Nadi. That's why he experienced all that. And he never practiced Hatha Yoga. He never practiced consistent breath work. So people who do that, so I've been practicing Hatha Yoga, especially from childhood, right? And a bit of breath work and meditation and so forth. And then when I became adult, it became more intense. So by the time the age of 19, when the Kundalini, I had the Kundalini awakening, there was zero negative effect, because my chakras were already toned, and the nadis were already prepared and cleared, through over 10 years of practice, right? Or I'm practicing from the age of 7 or 8 years old, right? So, but practicing more, not only Hatha Yoga and breathwork, Also martial arts, fitness training, and jogging. I used to love jogging and playing tennis, right? All these will help to unblock your nadis. It's like it's types of yoga. This is also yoga. And studying. I used to read a lot, love reading. From the age of 10, I never went to bed before midnight. Usually around 1, 2 a.m. Every day, 7 days a week. Finish my homework and reading and, do my gym, doing my exercise, my home gym, of course, and exercise and yoga postures as well, right? And meditation and all these things, right? So all these prepared for a smooth, Kundalini awakening, right? So the Kundalini awakening is also, I don't like that word awakening, because how can the Kundalini means it's sleeping? It's not sleeping. If it's sleeping, then you can't be alive. You will not be alive. The fact that you're alive means the Kundalini. When you go to sleep every night, who repairs your body? The Kundalini comes up and it becomes more active. When you are in deep sleep, it does the repair function. When you're extremely ill and you are in bed, you are in bed and you are having bed rest because you are too sick, right, too ill, what is repairing? And if the medications are not working, what is helping your body to recover? The medications, yes, are there to help, but not many people, not everyone take medication. Very rarely I go to a doctor. Maybe once in about 10, 13 years, 15 years, right? Very rare occasions, because my body self heals, because I'm practicing yoga, breath work, and so forth. So I hardly get sick, right? So I don't generally need. So the Kundalini is repairing. It comes and repairs. So it is on different levels. It's just that you instigate it to awaken in full power mode. So in everyone, it's on low power mode, right? Maybe on 5%, 10% power. Maximum is 20%, right? 10 to 12, I think 1%, right? This is more, this is closer to the truth. 1% is what it's, operating on. And suddenly something happened, some practice, some mindfulness practice. Everyone says they never do any yoga, no meditation. Are you sure? You are on your social media so many hours a day, averaging how many hours on your screen time? What's your screen time average? Your phone gives you a report, right? Weekly report. My average, because I am blind. I'm blind. My screen time is between 12 and 13 hours a week. I mean a day, right? 12 to 30. Blind person. Using screen reader and voiceover, right? In my phone. So I was spending a lot of time. That is mindfulness practice. When you're focusing on your job, that's mindful. When you're reading, when you are listening to spirituality podcast or any podcast, you're watching your movie, 1.5 hour movie, you're going for the Avatar movie, 3 hours long, right? 3.5 hours. That is your focus. You are meditating. This is mindfulness, right? All these things, you are intensely involved. So easy to surprise this involuntary Kundalini. It's like stirring the Kundalini. It's like instigating it to rise. And it comes and you see this, it's going to cause harm. So it's not in full power mode. So it knows it is a very intelligent energy and it subsides, right? So some people experience the negative effects, the trauma throughout their life, and they are people with psychosis, psychological problem that were dormant, that this came to the fore, that got instigated, with the involuntary Kundalini awakening. So the Kundalini is something that's there in your body. It's all pervading your entire, your entire system in different forms, energetic forms. So you got the downward flowing energy. There you get the 5 pranas, right? The 5 winds, right? The apana vayu, the downward from your navel down, is called apana vayu, that takes care of elimination and your sexual organs and so forth. Then the solar plexus region, the samana vayu, that takes care of digestion and your pancreatic and your liver functions and your digestive organs, right? And your kidney functions is mixed between samana and apana, right? And then your chest region, your heart and so forth, is your prana vayu, and then udana vayu, your head region, upward, your thought processes, your thinking, the energy. So you need energy to think. So you can get very hungry, if you're studying, you wonder you are not doing anything, you are just sitting and studying for an exam, you get so hungry as though you are, busy in action. It uses energy, right? So the Kundalini energy in the form of Udana Vayu, right? And Vyana Vayu is circulating the whole body, like your lymphatic system, your circulatory system, your nervous system, right? And even your pranic, your subtle life force energy systems, right, is flowing because you've got 72,000 nadis, right? So what is flowing through all of that? It is your Kundalini energy in a lower form, the lower energy form, right? So it's flowing. So through yogic practices, if you don't, if you don't like the word yoga, hatha yoga, at least do Tai Chi, or you don't like Tai Chi, or do gym. Go to the gym regularly. This is a form of movement, physical movement that will prevent adverse Kundalini awakening, right? Or you can do jogging, or you can do intense speculation and knowledge and so forth, right? You're generally those who are very studious and have postgraduate degrees and so forth should have a lower preponderance of adverse Kundalini awakenings than those who are uneducated and not reading. So educated doesn't necessarily mean a formal degree, it means also self-education, or someone who likes to read a lot. Someone who likes to read a lot, reading, especially you're reading philosophy books and so forth, you will reduce your risk of the negative Kundalini awakening, right? So this is the Kundalini energy. And what we do in the yoga science, what I do in yoga science is, and what I teach is pranayama, which is breath control, to cleanse the nadis, preparing for the Kundalini awakening. Once your nadis are cleansed, you don't need to awaken your Kundalini. The Kundalini will naturally rise on its own because it sees everything is ready for it to rise. So when you're doing your prana, especially the alternative nostril, there are many pranayamas, there's over 200 pranayamas, right? You do the alternative nostril breathing. This is the best because you isolate your right and your left nadis, your Ida and the Pingala nadis, right? Because if the Kundalini rise, it can mistakenly don't go through the central, go through the right or left. You don't need the adverse effects. So you try to cleanse, and by cleansing the main channels on the right and left, all the associated nadis all conglomerate and meet up with the left and right nadis. So the dirt or the clog comes and keeps, as you're clearing the right and left, and it keeps sending more and more dirt, and then you keep cleaning, it sends more and more dirt from the left and the right side of the body into the Ida and the Pingala nadi, and you keep, that's the alternative, the Annum Vinulum, alternative nostril breathing with retention. If you, I will try to make available as soon as possible for a free download these protocols for Kundalini awakening, right? So it involves extensive, and if you follow my method, you don't have to practice for decades. You can, within a few months, you can, be in a position to awaken the Kundalini. Once you awaken the Kundalini, and I even teach that, right, how to do that, then you are ready to practice the Kriya. Then you raise the Kundalini on a low power mode, lower power, higher than what you normally used to, and you feel your entire body electrified, right? But within a level that you can handle. So you raise it up and down, and as your nadis clear and clear, the strength with which it's rising, every time increases and increases until your body can take the full strength, right? And it increases incrementally. It can take 7 lifetimes. And as my one teacher said, it can take 10 million years. But I know there was one, I think a sage Vasishta, very popular sage, that wrote some of the scriptures, the iconic canonical scriptures. I think one of the Upanishads or something that he wrote, or he wrote a lot, he wrote his commentary on the Upanishads or something. And he said when he attained his final birth of enlightenment, it was his 7th birth. And there is even someone else in amongst our midst who says now it's his last birth, who is very popular on YouTube, Shri M, right? He said he had so many births, and this is not the first birth, and he was spiritual in all the other births, and he had his gurus and so forth there, and he only managed to gain the highest level where he doesn't have to be born again in this birth, right? Multiple births. So the Kundalini doesn't mean something magical or something. This is an energy, an intelligent energy that's there, that there is a science of how to manipulate it and develop it safely and faster at will, as opposed to just letting it go helter-skelter. If you're just going to sit and meditate, the meditation very slowly will cleanse your nadi. Very slowly. You're not willfully, you're not holding the bull by the horns, so to speak. To hold the bull by the horns is to do the pranayama protocol that I teach, and then the kriya. So I mean, you can practice pranayama on your own, and you can go and get kriya, from anyone. I teach it for free, right? And my method is much faster than where you go for the other initiation, because I teach you how to initiate yourself, right? And also have the advantage of my method is it has an amazing effect in your day-to-day life, in your sport performance. It dramatically improves sport performance, where I physically go and unblock the nadis with my energy healing, which is a very expensive procedure, by the way. Don't just randomly connect with me, because I try to avoid doing that. I want people to do it on their own, right? And this is the only way, is to keep a high. And also, I'm focusing my energies on other things, right? Saving it for critical care recovery and terminal illnesses. This is my distinction, between regular healers and me. I'm very specialized in terminal illnesses and critical care recovery. You can connect with me through my website, yogawellness786.com, for contact information if you are struggling with terminal illness or something, or a loved one is fighting for his life. And you can, of course, afford the fee, right? Because, of course, if you connect with me, I'm going to give you advice on how to improve it, for free. But the actual healing itself, you've got no idea what is involved. I'm risking my life in it, right? So it is the Kundalini energy that I am sending, right? Because it's intelligent energy. It knows. I just have to think. It knows who I'm thinking of, and it goes directly to that person, right? It's not like I doing some type of thing and I'm connecting some tube to that person. I'm working with a very intelligent energy. So the Kundalini energy is intelligent energy. So where I've done the chakra unblocking, for professional athletes, they, within a 14-day period, they doubled in their strength. They were able to do 120 push-ups at a given, per set, 120 repetitions. And within 14 days, they could increase it to 200 repetitions. And previously, they were like slightly out of breath at 120. And they were doing this for 17 years, right? And then I just did the chakra unblocking and taught them the, my technique of the breath work. And they were able to do 200. You couldn't believe it. And he's a professional fighter. He fights for money. And then after that, I never hear from him, because he was so busy in fights, winning fights, traveling the world, right? Before, he had a lot of free time because he probably wasn't winning so many fights, right? So not only that, increases your intelligence rate, increases your memory functions, increases. I even told my students, just by doing the Hatha yoga, you're already balancing your energy, your Kundalini energy. When you're balancing it, you have balanced energy, you will find your soulmate. And so many people, they couldn't get married and they couldn't get into a relationship, they all got married or they found their soulmates and so forth, and they were surprised. The one guy was 38 years old and he just couldn't get lucky, right? Within 6 months, he was married. He was married from someone who said, I've got no luck with women. And another woman, 32 years old, she never thought, she'd find someone, that's going to be right for her. And within a few months, she told me, remember, I said just by practicing, and she's only practicing my protocols 20 to 30 minutes a day, right? She found a soul, she couldn't believe. She said when I was saying she didn't believe, So this is the Kundalini energy. This is what the Kundalini energy, it's an intelligent energy that you don't have to just sit in meditation and suddenly it vibrates through you. That is the exception when you are antagonizing it or you giving it false information that you are doing, some type of mindfulness work by socially scrolling, social TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, that scroll, that is the mindfulness using, and this is what's this thing. So if you do the Hatha Yoga practice or Tai Chi or gymming or play some type of sport regularly or jogging regularly, all these things will balance the energies in your body, right? Especially you're doing it professionally, like doing minimum like 5 miles or more or 5 kilometers or more, I used to, when I wasn't blind, I used to just jog 5 kilometers, every day. That was my favorite. And I had a home gym, and traveling so much, I got tired. I have to buy all the weights again, and then as soon as I buy everything, I have to travel to another city, another country, and I got tired of the thing, and traveling so frequently between cities, I get exhausted as well, and I have to search for a gym, and also I'm blind and I have to adjust to the different environments and so forth. But gym is something that's going to help. You're not gonna, I'll be surprised if someone like Joe Rogan has a Kundalini awakening and it's negative. He should not be negative. I mean, he, I think, talks about the mushrooms experience and so forth, and he does it regularly. He doesn't have any negative trips on it or negative experiences on it because he works out very regularly. So he is ready for Samadhi experience. He is ready for the Kundalini development. All he needs is the right pranayama and the Kriya practice to speed up within, like, your lifetime, right? You can feel the energy immediately, right? Within a few months, you can feel the Kundalini energy, but in a controlled manner, not out of control, and you're raising it on a daily basis, right? Raising its level. So my energy is increasing more and more and more and more, where what took me about 4 to 5 hours to heal about 3 years ago, about a month ago took me 4 minutes to do the same thing, right? Because I'm working on my energies all the time. Daily practice, 8 to 10 hours a day I'm practicing, right? I'm not saying you need to practice. So what are some of the other misconceptions about the Kundalini energy? It's not some dark energy or some, it is in everyone, it's present all the time, and it is developing naturally and is growing naturally in you. It's just you're having the inner conjunctions when there's the adverse, when it suddenly come by mistake, right? Full power, because it's thinking you, or you are, disturbing it, you're forcing it, or there's a need for it to come up, right? There's some reason, because it's an intelligent, it's preparing you for some future challenge that you need the higher capacity of your brain. So this also goes up to the brain, and there's a subtle energy center in the center towards the back of your brain, above your palate, slightly below, as described by Gopi Krishna, right? In his autobiography or in his book on the Kundalini. This is where you raise your Kundalini energy to fill your head, to fill that energy center, to start activating your subtle intelligent levels, certain levels that won't automatically, just develop. It will develop slowly over the ages, not necessarily in you with your future generations. I mean, 200 years ago, your forefathers wasn't as developed in the brain as you are now. So the genes are being passed down, and you are, developing your Kundalini and developing your brain and the finer parts of your brain and your finer capacities and nuanced capacities, right? This is what the Kundalini does, and it also repairs, torn tissue and so forth. And eventually, the decay process overtakes the repair process, and the Kundalini is not ready to come in a higher level. So it says time up, time to migrate, to leave this body, right? Also, there can be a traumatic event, and you can be in an accident, and it will once the Kundalini and your life force is co-joined almost together. They're traveling together, fused almost together, right? So a lot of people who have the complete Kundalini awakening, the full power level, they confuse themselves as the Kundalini energy. You are not the Kundalini. It's just that you're so close to that energy, that you feel no difference between yourself and the Kundalini energy. So the energy world works differently. All right. So these are some of the misconceptions that I wanted to clear about the Kundalini. There's so much more, about it. We can go for ages and ages and hours discussing, and especially if there's question and answers, there can be no end to it, because this is a very deep field that everyone has got so much of confusion in, right? So I hope that information helps you. And remember, I'm a bioenergy healer specializing in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses. I've got over 50 years experience with energy healing. I'm practicing daily, 8 to 10 hours to sharpen the sword, keeping myself ready, because anytime I can get a call, someone is critically ill. So I'm always ready, following a special diet, and keep increasing my capacity, and a very high. That's why I have a very success rate, and that's why I can specialize in this. And connect with me through my website, yogawellness786.com. Take care of yourself always.